Hi there. So you've got a Galaxy S10, S10 Plus, or S10e? Well, I've got a couple of key settings for you to change to make your phone experience a little bit better. Before we start, a quick way to enter the Settings app is just to swipe down and tap on the gear icon at the top right. That'll give you quick access into the settings. Alternatively, you could just find the settings icon in the app drawer and tap that to jump into settings. You can also, for easier access, drag the settings icon and put it to your home screen if you want a way to quickly access that menu. So the first setting we're going to change is in notifications, and it's the status bar. So we're going to change the status bar because by default the phone will only show you 3 recent notifications. So that means here at the top left you'll only see 3 icons even if you have more notifications from different apps. So if you want to see all notifications, you just tap on that, and now it'll populate more if you have more notifications, so you get a better picture of how many notifications you actually have. Then you also want to toggle on battery percentage. It's a little difficult for us to gauge how much battery life is left just by looking at the battery icon there, but toggling on battery percentage will give you a more accurate representation, which means it's just easier to gauge. Currently, when you swipe down and up on the home screen, you just get access to the app drawer. Previous phones allowed you to swipe your finger down on the fingerprint sensor to pull down the notification shade. Of course, that's a little hard here since you have to adjust the way you hold the phone and pull down directly at the top, but there is an option to fix that. Essentially, you just have to press and hold on the home screen and you can jump into home screen settings. Alternatively, you can go to the settings app, go to display, and tap on home screen here. You basically get the same settings. Now scroll down until you see quick open notification panel, toggle that on, and now when you go to the home screen and you swipe down, you'll now directly pull the notification shade. So remember how I said that the Galaxy S9 let you swipe down on the fingerprint sensor to pull down that notification shade? That you can't do that on the S10 and the S10 Plus? Well, you can on the S10e because it has a fingerprint sensor on the side of the phone, unlike the other two which have in-display fingerprint sensors. So what you want to do is go to Settings again. Now you want to go to Advanced Features, and again, this is only on the Galaxy S10e. In Advanced Features, go to Motions and Gestures, and now you can see finger sensor gestures as an option to toggle on. Now toggle it on, and now I just have to swipe down on it, and it can pull down the notification shade, and you can swipe up on it to put it away. And this works in any app. So if I'm in Google Maps, for example, you just swipe that down and bring that up whenever. This next setting doesn't apply to the Galaxy S10e, just the S10 and S10 Plus. You're basically getting bigger screens, so you want to get the better screen resolution. If you go to Settings, Display, Screen Resolution, you'll see by default it's set to Full HD Plus. You'll want to set that to WQHD Plus if you want a sharper screen. Whether you'll see that difference is up to you, but do be aware that Full HD Plus will save you battery life, and WQHD Plus will affect battery life. Maybe not greatly, but for sure it will make a difference. Right along with the fingerprint sensors on all of these phones is face recognition. So you just have to turn on the screen. That little light means it's looking for a face, and it'll go then to the home screen. But this is not secure, unlike the fingerprint sensors. So just with a picture of your own face, you can scan it and unlock the phone. Bit scary, right? Well, if you still want to use the feature, there is a way to make it a little more secure. If you go to Settings, Biometrics and Security, and then go to Face Recognition, everyone knows this passcode. Now, if you go to Faster Recognition, it says faster recognition improves speed but reduces security, increasing the possibility of a video or image being incorrectly recognized as your face. So that's turned on by default, which I'm not really sure why, but if you toggle it off and then try to unlock the phone with just your face, you'll find it much more difficult, though we can't guarantee that it absolutely won't unlock based on a picture of you, but it does make it a little more secure, and the difference in speed isn't that much. Oh, by the way, with face recognition, by default, it's going to stay on the lock screen after it recognizes your face. So if you want it to jump straight to the home screen like it has been doing for the past few times we've tried it just now, just untoggle that, and now as you unlock the phone with your face, it'll go straight to the home screen. Samsung phones have always on displays, but by default it's not always on. You actually have to tap the screen for it to show up, and it'll disappear 30 seconds later. Well, here's how to change that. Basically, you want to go into the settings, go to lock screen, tap on always on display, and when you scroll down, you'll see display mode. So now you can do show always, and it'll always show up, but also keep in mind there is a show as scheduled, so if you want to have always on only when you're in bed at nighttime, or if you're at the office, you can customize it to particular time periods, but essentially when it's always on, now when you go straight and turn your phone off, you'll always see this all the time. By default, you're getting the standard Android navigation keys at the bottom, so you're getting a recents menu, the home button, and the back button. Now, if you're coming from another Samsung phone, chances are that's the layout you're used to, but most other Android phones use the recents button, the home button, and then the back button in it, basically swapping these two buttons around. If you want to change that, or even go to full screen gestures, there's a way in the settings. Basically, you go to settings and go to display, scroll all the way down and look for navigation bar. And now here's where you can choose full screen gestures, and you can also opt to swap the button order if you want. The more traditional Android method is with having the back button on this side, and this is the more traditional Samsung method. We like to go with this one, and full screen gestures basically lets you swipe up from one of these particular areas to enable that action. So for example, swiping up here will get me access to the recents menu then. Swiping up from here takes me back, and swiping from the middle will go home. And you can also swipe right quickly to swap apps, as it just gave us a recommendation for. Now you can turn off the gesture hints if you want to make it look a little cleaner. And that's about it. And again, you can still swap the order of which you want if you prefer the Samsung layout over the traditional Android layout. Sometimes you want to play a video, but you're not sure if your media volume is on high, so maybe if you're at work, you want to be careful. Well, it can be a little complicated when you change the volume buttons by default, because that will only toggle your phone volume settings. Now you can swipe down and adjust your media volume settings there, but you can also use the volume keys directly for media first. So just tap the volume down button, swipe that down, and toggle that on, and now anytime you interact with the volume rocker, it'll directly affect your media volume instead of your phone's ringtone or notification volume. Now, of course, you can always change that back by toggling that on, off. And of course, there's another way to change this if you go to settings, sounds and vibration, and you can see the same option over here, use volume for media, that you can toggle on or off. The screens in all of Samsung's new phones natively reduce blue light by 42%. That's great because too much blue light at night can affect your sleep, which in turn can affect your health. So there's also a way to add an additional blue light filter for extra protection. Just go to settings, display, and you can see the blue light filter here. Now you can toggle it on so it's on whenever, and you can adjust the opacity so that you can filter out more blue light if you want, but that also makes the screen more yellow. Or you can just schedule it out so that it'll turn on automatically from sunset to sunrise, or your own little custom schedule. Now keep in mind that there's also a quick settings toggle right here that allows you to adjust and turn on that blue light filter whenever you want, just by tapping on this. Speaking of making things easier on your eyes, when you go back to display settings, you can see this menu called night mode. Tap on that, and essentially it's giving you the option to look at the settings menu and the rest of the UI in this AMOLED black mode, so that you're not blasted with bright white light when you turn on your phone at night. So now this is actually by default what it looks like. This is the white screen, the white UI, the white navigation drawer here. Everything's basically a bright white. You can either turn it on so that it's always AMOLED black, or you can turn it on as scheduled so that it'll turn on automatically when it's nighttime. When you're staring at the screen, say if you're reading something, you don't want it to dim out on you. And Samsung has an option in the settings for you to basically leave the screen on when it recognizes that you're looking at it still. So go to Settings, head over to Advanced Features, Motions and Gestures, and there's an option called Smart Stay, and it says keep the screen on while you're looking at it. It's been around for some time, but if you toggle it on, that helps you basically make sure the screen never dims out when you're looking at it. Swipe right on the home screen and you'll get access to Bixby Home. Whether any of this is actually useful information is going to depend on you. We don't really find it that useful, so we turned it off, and there's a way how. Press and hold on the home screen, swipe to the right, and you'll see a little toggle above there, and toggle that off, and now you can no longer access Bixby Home, which is definitely a plus. The Bixby button is controversial because up until now, Samsung hasn't let you do anything with it other than access Bixby. Well, a recent update lets you customize it a little further. So you want to first make sure you have that update by going to the Galaxy Store app. Now tap on the triple dots on the right, Settings, triple dot on the right, My Page. Now go to Update. And you'll want to make sure there's an app update here for Bixby. If not, then you probably already have the update. Now you'll want to go to Settings, Advanced Features, Bixby key, and by default you can see the single press to open Bixby is what is enabled. So now there's either the option to double press to open Bixby, which means if you still want to use Bixby but you find yourself frequently pressing the button accidentally, a double press might help to make it less accidental and you won't keep opening Bixby. So if you toggle that on, now you have to double press to actually open Bixby. But an alternative is using the single press now to then open something else. For example, I've set it to open the AMC Theaters app, so now when I press it, I can jump straight into that app if I want to schedule a movie. But you can also tap on this, tap on the gear settings, and choose any app that you have installed to open up. You can also run a quick command, which you'll have to go into the quick command settings to do something like, say, I'm driving to Bixby, and it'll turn things like Wi-Fi off and turn on Bluetooth, and maybe it'll get your commute playlist ready. That's something you can customize here if you want, and that's something that you can use instead of opening an app in the Bixby settings. But perhaps you actually want to use the Bixby key to open, say, another AI assistant, like Google Assistant, for example. Currently, you can do that, swipe up from the home screen to open up Google Assistant, but if you want to open up Google Assistant natively with the Bixby key, there is no way. However, XDA Developers has figured out a way to do it. If you go to their site and look for the Bixby Remap button option, you can find an article describing exactly how to do it, and what you need to do is basically download this APK from them, and once you download it and install it, you'll essentially be able to use the Bixby key to open Google Assistant. So how does that work? So basically once you install it, you just go back and press single press, go to the settings, and now you'll see this app called Bixby Button Assistant Remapper. So you'll want to make sure you choose that button. And now that that's set, now if you press the Bixby key, you'll see it opens Google Assistant. So it definitely does work, and we've been using it on a lot of phones and it hasn't posed any other issues. Of course, it's not a native way to do it. You do have to go around and install a third-party app, but it's definitely one of the best ways right now to use the Bixby key to open up Google Assistant. So that's it. There's obviously a lot more you can dive into in the settings, but hopefully the ones we've picked out give you a better smartphone experience with your new Samsung phone.